Bethesda's approach with Starfield has been questionable from the very beginning. Even though this developer has been a laughingstock of the gaming world for many years now, for a good reason, they without a question keep trying. And so, with the newest update that just came out, they actually surprisingly managed to do some things right this time. Starfield got a slightly bigger update this time, with some serious changes and fixes and all that. Now we can argue about the actual size again, but certain YouTubers will fuck that up anyway. Well, on PC, the actual size of the update from 1736 to 1886 that boldly calls itself the Premium Edition now? Yeah, Premium Edition. More like we finally got out of the alpha and now playing the beta version. This update has a file size of roughly 1.6 gigabytes. As for the actual features of this update, the most important and significant improvement is certainly the implementation of DLSS support, including frame generation for RTX cards, which will more than double your FPS, and other tweaks and configuration possibilities. And that is also the part they actually got right. We had DLSS support for months now through mods, and it was almost perfect, but only almost. There were still some glitches, it sometimes caused minor graphical bugs and so on, like for example when flying from one planet to another in the same solar system. It could also freeze the game sometimes. For me it did that when I tried to fast travel from a bigger city to another planet, for example. So what I had to do was get into the ship, take off into space and then travel from there. Super easy, barely an inconvenience. But now with the official implementation of DLSS, the whole thing becomes more stable. This is also the most amazing and surprising part, because usually when our crap tester does something, they are easily outdone by modders. So this official DLSS support is the first thing in Starfield history that Bethesda actually managed to do better. But unfortunately this is already all the praise it's going to get from me, because the next great thing this update holds is the food feature. Let them eat. By popular request we have added the ability to ingest food and drink items upon finding them in the environment. You can enjoy those chunks immediately or save them for later. The choice is yours. Oh my god, Todd. Would have this been awesome if you added this like a couple of months ago? Yes, it's true. They promised that from the very beginning, from the very first add-on, because apparently the demand for such a feature was very high. However, modders already did that a while ago, and it was working really well. This is exactly what I mean. Snail Tesda is usually way behind the modding community, and in all seriousness, personally I don't give a flying fuck about food functionality. There are way more urgent and pressing concerns with this game, things that desperately need fixing, like the maps. This is also something they promised from the very beginning and yet have not implemented so far. There are not even city maps in this game, where you could for example see the shops and other important points of interest. I'm not even gonna start about local maps. Like if you enter a structure or a cave and it's one of those shitty randomly generated caves, mazy as fuck, no lights, and you have no local map. So if you try to get out again and you only have the general direction of where the exit is and you keep bumping into walls like an idiot, this is exactly why I'm saying we are playing an alpha or beta build here. This is certainly not a finished game, and asking for full price is just criminal. They should have released it as early access and be done with it, Jesus fucking Christ. But okay, enough of that. What else have they fixed? Fixes and improvements, performance and stability, addressed a number of memory-related issues and leaks, added some GPU performance optimization, which will be more impactful on higher-end graphics cards, improved rendering threading model, improving GPU usage, mostly notable on higher-end systems, various stability and performance improvements. Okay, this is all very vague, and personally it was really hard for me to tell if the performance really increased. I think the loading times are a bit shorter, and yes, I noticed slight FPS increase, but actually I think it's because of proper official implementation of DLSS. They also are very smart here by saying only for high-end graphics cards and high-end systems, meaning if you don't see a performance increase, they will just claim that your system is shit, that you need to upgrade your PC, just like Todd said in the past already, which is quite amusing. But yeah, let's just go with it and believe what they're saying here, because if they say there were memory leaks and other related issues, then yeah, this is something we generally would expect from Bethesda, and if they say they fixed it, let's just roll with it. Next, the gameplay. Added the ability to eat food placed in the world. Well, we already talked about that. Adjusted stealth to be a bit more forgiving. This is also something we had a really great mod for, and now this mod will probably not work properly with the new updated version of the game and needs an update, or maybe it will actually be good without this mod. It requires some decent testing. Fixed an issue where Andrea's head, I'm actually calling her Andrea, yeah, Andrea's head would stay permanently cloaked. Yeah, I actually had similar problems with the cloaking stuff. Basically, when you use the chameleon function, sometimes the character would stay cloaked forever and became literally invisible. This would actually be fixed by reloading the game, but for some people it actually stayed permanent. And not only on the player character, but also on Andrea, because she uses this chameleon stuff too. Fixed an issue that could prevent players from firing their weapons. I think I personally didn't have this specific bug, but honestly, after installing this new update, actually I had way more bugs and glitches than before. Like for example, I had this very awesome bug where half of my ship actually landed properly on the pad next to the outpost, and the other half landed somewhere nearby. So when I tried to take off, basically I was flying around in space without the hull. Yeah, it's overrated anyway, we are just going to breathe space air now, it's cool. Fixed issues where some NPCs could be seen not wearing clothes. Note, this issue may resolve itself over time. Yeah, this is another one of those improvements where they basically fix something, but maybe not, so they're just saying it might fix itself over time. I like this. Personally, I never had this bug, but it sounds funny. Fix an issue where already in progress skill challenges could stop progressing after reaching the Unity and starting a new game. Well, I never started a new game, so I cannot relate to this. Yes, actually I have not beaten this game even once, for specific reasons. Anyway, fix an issue that could temporarily prevent opening the inventory or saving after entering the Unity. Yeah, this is a known bug for some people and it can be very annoying, of course. PC fixed an issue where mouse movements could become choppy. I don't think I had this one, but yeah, not really a surprise considering Bethesda. Fixed a rare issue that could cause the home ship to be lost. I don't think this is very rare. Yes, many people actually had this kind of stuff happening, like the ship disappearing or ships being replaced by space stations and you could not access your ships anymore. This kind of stuff, it's nothing new. But yeah, thank God they fixed this. Fixed an issue where the ship service technician might be missing. Well yeah, NPCs disappearing or flying above the city, this is normal stuff for Bethesda games, and yes, many people reported this kind of issues. Fix an issue where occasionally the camera could shake incorrectly during traveling, graph jumping, docking or landing transitions. Never noticed this personally, but it sounds... As I said, I noticed weird graphical glitches in those instances, and I thought it was because of the DLSS stuff from mods, and I think it actually was. I never noticed weird shaking, but maybe it's kind of a related thing, maybe it is the same. I can't say for sure. Graphics addressed an issue with how ambient occlusion appears in ultra-wide resolutions. Does not apply to me. Optimized initial shader compilation that occurs on startup. Well, I actually noticed that the first time I started the game after this update, this shader compilation took way longer than usual, but it was only the first time. After that it became pretty short, just like it used to be. And now I can't really say if it takes less time than before this update or not. I can say for sure. Added the ability to adjust brightness and contrast in display settings menu. Woohoo, this is something that totally should have been there from the start. Added the ability to adjust HDR brightness provided the system supports it. That's for Xbox and Windows 11 only. Does not apply to me since I use Windows 10. Addressed a number of materials that could sometimes present an unintended pattern under certain conditions. Can't be more vague there. fixed various visual issues related to the new field of view slider options. Well, yeah, I actually noticed that after this update, the field of view adjustments I have done with this mod I used were gone. So now we have to use the new FOV slider Bethesda provided. Improved the appearance of the eyes on crowd characters. Oh yeah, we all know this weird bug where the NPCs basically look like crazy psychopaths, and of course we had a fix for that with a nice mod. Well, I guess we don't need that one anymore. Addressed a number of minor visual issues related to lighting, shadows, terrain and vegetation. Yeah, I actually noticed that there are still bugs with floating plants and stuff. I guess this is not something they addressed, but as they say here, it's just minor visual stuff they improved, so there is still a lot room for improvement. PC addressed additional visual issues related to DLSS. Well, they just implemented it properly, so in the beginning it will be buggy anyway, but I am glad that at least now it works better than the modded DLSS. This is already a huge improvement, and for that one they can really pat themselves on the back, or on the shoulder, or whatever. Anyway, next one, quests. They list a huge number of quest fixes here, and actually I cannot say much to this because I have not completed the game yet and have not played through all those quests yet, and basically I cannot really blame them for this kind of bugs, because in a game like this, with millions of quests and objectives where things can overlap, and depending on how you do those quests in which order, which quests you do at the same time, and objectives can hinder each other, and things can obviously get messy, so this is something that is to be expected from a game with this kind of magnitude. So yeah, this is something that's kinda acceptable, and of course it's a good thing that they're working on fixing those quests and make them function properly. So what can be said about this update? Well, in the end of the day, while Bethesda certainly tries to fix and improve, to add and upgrade, to save this severely botched game, to pull themselves from the swamp pool of unprofessionalism this company just keeps sinking in, all of that can be summarized in one sentence: too little, too late. Thanks to the die-hard fans who bought this game on launch and dedicated modding community, Starfield keeps going and trying to stay alive. My personal recommendation for people who have not yet bought this game and haven't played it yet, obviously, in other words, people who are not hardcore Bethesda fans and generally want a more polished experience, wait a bit longer. Once this game gets more fixes, some additional content in form of DLC, and obviously lots of cool mods, it will be a much more playable and enjoyable experience. And with that said, thank you all for watching, and see you around.